the flow of today, I want you to keep that in mind. What are you trying to build? Apply this. This is worthless if you just listen and don't apply. I would feel very bad if you guys did that. Okay, the flow of today, I'm going to start with a behavior design model. Model means a new way of understanding, a way to help you think about behavior. Second is a snap testing method, a behavior design method, way of testing, so that you can actually apply it. And then third, I'll just summarize the takeaways for you. The reason why I spent about 3 minutes in that introduction, I have 30 minutes with you guys. I spent 10% of that time facilitating an experience because the behaviors that I wanted to see was laughing, you guys smiling, you guys high-fiving, you guys moving your body, because in those behaviors, you will remember that. And you will remember always the first part of that experience of any technology, of any in-person experience, of any augmented experience. You will always remember that first experience and last experience because the mind does that as a bias. Here we go. We'll start here. What do you want your UI and UX to achieve ultimately? So take 15 seconds. You can either think by yourself, or if you'd like to connect to a partner, you can just take a quick look at them, and if they just look down, they don't want to talk to you. But if you guys connect and you guys can talk amongst yourself, 15 seconds, what do you want your UI, your UX design to ultimately achieve? 15 seconds. Go. And let's play a little light music on the back. 15 seconds. What do you ultimately want your UI, UX to achieve? Ultimately. About 7 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome back. You can shout it out loud. Let's see. Did anybody, you can raise your hand, or you can take a deep breath in if this is one of your answers. That you want your UI, UX to ultimately help people feel more entertainment, pleasure, more pleasantness in their lives. Anybody? Okay, very good. If you don't feel like raising your hands, that's okay. You can take a deep breath in. That'll be your participation. How many of you want your UI, UX to help make people's lives easier? Raise your hand. Okay, very good. And then again, you can take a deep breath in. Most of the examples earlier today, the Samsung examples, you can see how it's optimizing efficiency and convenience and making lives easier. If we can bring more pleasantness in people's lives with our UI, UX, and design and products, and we can make their lives easier, then what's the next level? It would be impact. If we can do these first two, let's do the third one as well. Impact. What does impact mean? Impact means helping them live happier lives, healthier lives, but not only their lives, but their community, their environment, and the country, and you can keep on expanding if you want to play that game, but ultimately it's our responsibility to create things to make impact that's easier to do and that's joyful to do. Because without things to be joyful, you're not going to keep on coming back. If it's not easy to do, you're not going to come back to the product. And now you can start to see the trend. People are waking up. People are waking up to do more. Okay, so ultimately, these 3 levels. Successful UI UX beneficially influences how people do things. It's all about doing things. Behavior means a person taking an action in some context. It's doing things. And you can do things one time. If you can get a person to do it one time, then you can graduate to the next level. Can you get them to repeat it? Is it once a week? Is it once a month? Is it every day? And then if you can get people to repeat, then you can get it potentially to a habit. Habit means automatic. It's the level of automaticity. Any product creator is trying to get to here. But you can't get to habit unless you get to repeat, and you can't get to repeat unless you get to the first time. So in behavior design, Well, all UI UX leads to ultimately behavior change, getting people to do things. Imagine you have your thing built. Imagine you had the best UI and UX, you had the best tech. What do you actually want people to do? That's what you're actually designing for, not married to the UI, the UX, or the code. So behavior design is a new approach to understanding human behavior and how to design for behavior change. It's being pioneered at the Stanford Persuasive Technology Lab, where I was a former member there. And then now, I'm at the Peace Innovation Lab at Stanford. It was a project at the Persuasive Tech Lab, and then they spun out because we asked ourselves, hey, if we can design behavior, ultimately, what's the biggest impact? Well, we can facilitate peace. And specifically, what is that? They're looking at technologies that mediate peace, that facilitate peace. Peace means beneficial social behaviors amongst people, especially in conflict zones. Huge. So this is BJ Fogg, Dr. BJ Fogg. He is the pioneer and the innovator of this field of behavior design. He created this core model called the Fogg behavior model, which some of you might have heard of or should have heard of. I'm going to teach it to you today in an effective way so that you can actually remember. Also, behaviormodel.org, you can find and deep dive and explore more. But before we get there, who has actually used behavior design? Well, Nike, LinkedIn when it was very early, Instagram when it was super early, pre-app, they were trying to create an experience where people in sunshine places like California would take a picture and then send it to other people that were in cloudy areas that had seasonal weather disorder, SAD, or seasonal attention something. It was called Share the Sunshine. That's how they started there, pre-app. BJ taught one of the co-founders, Mike Krieger, from Instagram. And then, so these on the left-hand side, those are BJ's clients. On the right-hand side, those were my past clients. Bringing behavior design to a wearable mobile app, to a new idea. They found a new market segment. They wanted to build a thing, and then going from here. And then Spotify was more of thinking about the publisher side. They're not doing the thing fast enough. How do we get that behavior change so that then they can actually use the tech? So behavior design is a new approach to understanding human behavior. This is a behavior model. Model means a way of thinking about human behavior. And so this is the Fogg behavior model, and I'm going to show it to you here. So you can pay attention here. Behavior happens when three things come together at the same moment. If they don't come together at the same moment, behavior doesn't happen. Motivation to do the behavior, ability to do the behavior, and a prompt to do the behavior. And by prompt, I mean the thing that says act now. Red light, green light, your phone rings, you see a notification. Me saying and you hearing the word. A prompt means the thing that says act now. Now, if you're a visual person like me, we can imagine it this way. Motivation ranges from high, medium, low. And then down here we have ability. And it can range from easy to do, medium to do, hard to do. Now let's take an example, a simple example. The phone rings. You do not pick up. Why? Shout it out. The phone rings. You do not pick it up. Why? You can say it in Spanish or English. 3, 2, 1. What was that? Say it again. You're busy. What are you busy with? Okay, busy with somebody else. The reason why I asked that is because if he said I was busy with time, that means that was an ability factor. He could want to talk to the person. He even heard the phone ring, but if he was busy with time, he had no ability. But what he actually said was you were busy with another person, which means maybe that's your somebody that you want to spend more time with than the person that's calling, right? So motivation wasn't there. Give me an ability example. The phone rings. You do not pick up. Why? You're in the shower. Very good. What else? It's under the bed. Great. What else? You don't want to reach down there. One more. The phone rings. You do not pick up. Why? Okay. Ability wasn't there. You want to talk to the person. You even hear the phone ring, but you don't pick up the phone. And then lastly, the phone is ringing, but you do not pick up. Why? That's right. You can't hear it. The prompt wasn't in your experience. You could have been waiting for the phone call. The phone could have been in your pocket, but you never got the prompt, so the behavior doesn't happen. So here, I want you to imagine a conceptual action line. When prompts happen above the action line, you want to talk to the person, the phone is in your hand, the phone rings, behavior happens. Now let's take this example here first. You don't want to talk to the person, you have no motivation, low motivation, and it's very hard for you to talk. Even when they prompt, behavior doesn't happen no matter how many times they prompt you. The people that are trying to sell you things that you don't want, the telemarketers, no matter how many times they prompt you, behavior doesn't happen. Now let's take one look up here. You really want to talk to the person, you really want to do the thing, but you just can't do it. How do you feel? That's right, I heard frustrated. We intuitively know this, but it is systematically. I did a talk in Zurich, Switzerland maybe a couple months ago. Universal, we know this. We really want to do it, but we just can't do it. That's how users feel, and members feel, customers feel, when they really want to pay for your product, when they really want to do a thing in your product, but they just can't do it. And then lastly, let's just take a look here really quickly. The thing is so easy to do, but you really don't want to do it. You're getting asked to do it. How do you feel? I heard annoyed. That's right. Annoyance lives here. Frustration lives here. Behavior happens when three things come together at the same moment: motivation, ability, and prompt. And you can dive deeper at the behaviormodel.org, but that's the Fogg behavior model. That is a new tool for you to design with, not only think with, but to design with. Let's do some quick examples of analyzing the Fogg behavior model. And let's break down what ability means. There's actually 5 ability factors. Oh man, something fell. Okay, 5 ability factors. If you can follow me with your hands, I'm going to teach you a mnemonic so that you can remember these 5 ability factors no matter where you go. So take both of your hands up. Okay, very good. High fives next to you. Get the juices going. Okay, very good. Time, money, physical effort, mental effort, and then routine. High five somebody next to you. Okay, very good. We're going to do it faster this time, okay? You guys in the back. Yeah, that's right. Put your hands up. Hands up. Okay, awesome. Time, money, physical effort, mental effort, and then routine. Okay, last time, faster this time. 3, 2, 1. Time, money, physical effort, mental effort, and routine. Very good. So these are the 5 ability factors. When we're actually, here, let's actually just go through some examples. Amazon, one click. When we're making things easier to do, the 5 ability factors. When we're making things easier to do, there's really 5 levers to move. I took out money because it wasn't really relevant in these examples. When we're making things easier to do, the behavior's not happening, meaning your user, your customer, your employee, etc., are not doing the action. The traditional approach is, let's motivate people to change. Not effective, because what might motivate you will demotivate another person. But if you make it easier to do, that is more universal. And that's easier to do on your end as well as the designer, the developer, and the builder. So on the behavior model, it means we're moving the behavior this way, to the right. Now, you can talk to your partner, which in the Amazon one-click design is it optimizing for? Time, physical effort, mental effort, or routine? Turn to a partner, tell them what you think. 3, 2, 1, go. Whisper. Which one? Okay. Now let's shout it out. 3, 2, 1.
Time.
It says 1 click. 1 click. Because before, we're looking at the scarcest resource here. The scarcest resource. Scarcest resource, simplicity is a function of the person's scarcest resource when they're prompted. Meaning, when they're prompted to buy, what is their scarcest resource when going through the experience? Before, it was many clicks. They had the same time, they had 5 minutes to buy. They can go through many clicks, or they go through 1 click. In this example, optimizing for physical effort. Usually, number of steps, number of clicks, especially in designing products, that's optimizing for physical effort. Let's take another example here. This is actually from a past client. They were a meditation app. If you've ever meditated before, or tried it, you know 10 minutes is super long. Super long. Give me a nod if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, super long. Okay, in this example here, in this design, what ability factor are they optimizing for to make it easier to do for you? Time, physical effort, mental effort, or routine? 3, 2, 1. Okay, very good, time. And what we suggested them to do, again, if you've never, meditating 10 minutes is like if you've never run before, and then you ask a person to run a mile. It is ridiculously hard. Most people have not meditated before. So we said, create a track for 5 minutes. Better yet, create a track for 1 breath. 1 breath. 1 breath. That would be easier to do. That would be anytime, anywhere behavior. Last example. This is a company that I advise, a startup that I advise called GetSiempo. Here, they're trying to batch your notifications so that you get the notifications when you want to. It's built on Android, and they actually just open sourced their stuff, so you can check them out. What ability factor are they optimizing for in here to batch your notifications so that you get them when you want to? Time, physical effort, mental effort, or routine? 3, 2, 1. Okay, interesting. Okay, we can debate that. Mental effort. You don't want your mind to just go to the phone whenever it beeps. You want to optimize so that you get it when you want to. Mental effort here. But the thing is, it's hard to tell from just one example, but to dive deeper. The takeaway here is there are 5 ability factors. When you're trying to make an experience easier to do, you only have 5 things to look at. And then you optimize for the scarcest one. The scarcest one in that moment. Okay, the takeaway here, the number 1 UX tip is simplicity changes behavior. Simplicity changes behavior. Okay, we're moving on to the second part, the method. This is snap testing. In behavior design, there are 7 different methods. When you put them together, it's a process, but you can use them separately. We wrote this, we wrote a book, and we chunked it out actually into 7 different guides to make it easier to do and read. We're going to go through just the 7th method here. Because most of my work is under NDA, I brought a personal project in to give you an example of what snap testing is for you to deploy. The takeaway here, behavior before UI, UX, and code. The reason why is, you guys know how complex it is, how costly it is in time and money and effort when you add each layer in before you change, right? Your time goes down, your money goes down, your physical effort goes down, your mental effort goes down with each change of complexity. So behavior before UI, UX, and code. Snap testing, the definition. A quick quantitative test means your 10 best people, of the psychology of the idea or behavior in 4 hours of work or less. It doesn't have to be 4 consecutive hours, just 4 hours total. Now, there's a more deeper dive of the psychology of the idea or behavior, but essentially for this session here is, did they do B? Did they do the behavior? Did you actually get them to do the thing? Now, the best 10 people, you want to recruit your best 10 users, testers, because if you can't get your super motivated people, and they have high ability to do so, and they're just waiting for you to prompt them, if you can't get your best 10 people to do the behavior, how are you going to get people who are less motivated? This is your group 1 people to focus on. This is your group 2 people to focus on that are very motivated, and they're just waiting for you to make it easier to do. This is your third group. So easy to do. This is where you can play with motivation. You pop them up the line. These folks here, you ignore because you're going to have your work cut out for you over here. So the behavior model is not only good for the experience, but also a high level of who you should focus on. You can map this to market segment, etc., and so on and so forth. Quick quantitative test, your 10 best people per test. Psychology of the behavior or idea means, did they do the B? Did they do the behavior or action that you're wanting them to do? The conventional approach is this. You have an idea, you wireframe it, then you do some testing, whether it's surveys or focus groups or one-to-one interviews in person or user testing, and then you do a hi-fi mock-up. What I'm trying to pose and invite you to do is to wait for that. Because what you're not doing is testing if the behavior works. What you're testing is if the design is intuitive, if it's simple, but what do you want your design to do? You want them to do the thing. So let's just imagine that the thing is built, see if you can get people to do the thing. If you can't, then that's the wrong behavior, and then you just save yourself a shit ton of time, money, physical effort, mental effort for yourself and your team. I'll give you an example now. The target outcome, this is a personal project. Help people eat healthier in accountability groups. Snap test how, number 1, is use tools that you already know that facilitate the behaviors. I want people to eat healthy, I want them to take a picture of their food, I want people to connect, I want people to like, I want people to comment. In the realest setting as possible. I want to build a mobile app at the end. That's my outcome. But scaling back, I tested on WeChat, I tested on WhatsApp, I tested on GroupMe. Because I want to see if I can get people to eat healthier in an accountability group. And that fulfills most of my functions. Did I actually get the result? Yes. One paying customer said, I've already cut out about 80% of the sweets that I used to eat. Okay, great. So behavior is being changed. Now, how do we lay on the UI, UX, and code? Now also, so that was a success. Now this was a challenge, a problem that a user faced, which means, oh, I know what exactly to build now. Sometimes it's hard to figure out who has not reported in for the day in the accountability group. So user shares photo, so snap test how number 2, then translate the observed behaviors, things that you actually saw people doing, into Sketch and then the UX flow. So the behaviors, user shares photo, user likes posts, user tags others, those are pretty generic, so I'm not going to spend time on them. But here, user sees who hasn't gone yet in the group. So let's take that behavior, because it's less general. So I hand sketched, and then snap test how number 3, simplify the UI to the target actions, the behaviors that your team has seen and observed. User sees who hasn't gone yet. I hand sketched something, and then I went on InVision Freehand, super awesome tool if you haven't started using it yet. And I took a screenshot from Facebook Messenger, and I just put in the blocks of eating healthier group and who hasn't gone yet. Then I worked with my designer, he did something else, he added some streaks, right, and some other behaviors commenting food. You're starting to see the evolution of, I want to focus on the behavior, I use an existing tool to actually get the change. Then you can start to see how the design is coming. You do some low fidelity mock-up like that, and then You continue simplifying the UI to the target behaviors that you've seen, and then this is the current version of the MVP design. So you can see that there's more polish to it, but the takeaway here is those 3 steps. Use tools that you already know that can facilitate the behaviors that you want to see in the realest setting as possible. If I did a focus group or a survey or a one-to-one interview for a mock-up, that's not in the realist setting of I'm tired, I just came back from work and I want to eat healthier and I didn't choose the cookie. You're testing them on the design here. Do you see the difference? And then 2, translate those observed behaviors into hand sketch, right, and UX flow. It doesn't have to be pretty. And then finally, simplify the UI to just those behaviors that you see people do. Again, snap testing is a quick quantitative test, your 10 best people, and you keep on getting your 10 best people, 10 people per test. Psychology of the idea or behavior, did they do B? And if they did do B, here's where you know the psychology actually resonates. If they did more than B, if they did B+, if they shared it with somebody, then you know if they went above and beyond, that's how you know. If they said it was, oh God, this is so simple to use, you know you're onto something. That's how you know the psychology resonates. They did it, and then they went above and beyond. Now, so what's unique about snap testing to UI and UX? You test for real behavior change. You get answers in 4 hours of work or less per test. This is probably faster than the 5-day Google Sprint and other processes. You are more beneficial because you have evidence. So when you're in a meeting, you don't say just your opinion, or whoever has the highest position or hierarchy or who argues the best. You actually have evidence, not just an opinion. And you build with more confidence and clarity that your UI and UX will work. So, I'll summarize the takeaways. We're almost there, guys, 30 minutes, and then we're gonna part ways. So simplicity changes behavior. UI tip, simplify the UI to target actions that you have observed in your snap test, that you have actually observed. And then the #1 snap testing tip is recruit your best testers and focus on changing behavior with 4 hours of work or less. Those are the summary of the tips, and thank you very much.